Hey folks, it's Dennis Gray, and this is show number 121 of the Australian Rock Show. We thank you for your time in checking us out, and we appreciate your ongoing support of the podcast. As I've mentioned previously, when we started this project a few years ago, my brother and I sat down and drew up a list of musicians we'd like to get on the show, and one such name was Alan Lancaster, a guy who I saw live many times in both the Party Boys and the Bombers. Quite recently, UK label Barrel & Squidger released a live recording circa 1989 from the Bombers, a time period which is very near and dear to my rock and roll heart. We were fortunate to have cottoned onto the Bombers from the time of their formation and saw many of the band's early shows. And as this just released live album from the archive shows, we were witnessing something special. Lightning in a bottle, a genuine supergroup playing the pubs. And in spite of previous rock and roll triumphs with their former profile bands, Status Quo and The Angels, it shows the Bombers were a band hungry for success. A couple of days back, it was a great honour to get Alan Lancaster on the phone, and we talked in great detail about the Bombers, his time in the Party Boys, and of course looked over the new live album as well. We will hear the interview with Alan straight after a tune from the new album, and this one's a ripper. Here are the Bombers with Crime Investigator.
Hello there.
Alan, how are you? It's Dennis from the Australian Rock Show.
How are you, mate?
Look, I'm very well. Okay, look, it's a wonderful honour to have you on the show, and although we could spend a great deal of time looking over your amazing rock and roll history, it is the recently released live album from the Bombers, which is the purpose of our interview today. May I start by saying, mate, as someone who saw the band very early on in their career, how wonderful it is that this live recording has seen the light of day, an album which really does showcase a band at the height of their powers. What prompted the release of this live album?
Well, I've had it for years and years and years, but the technology changed so much, from digital, and this was recorded on a U-matic, like a mobile, multi-track in a pouring rain, and we mixed the tapes, but they were left on the shelves for years and years and years, and of course no one's got the machinery these days to do it, so nobody wants to do it because the tape comes off onto the heads and can ruin the equipment. So I tried it with the U-matic, but it came out mono, and I wasn't really. Now I found the 15-inch Ampex reels. So I had them baked, and I took them to Tom Meisner's studio by the airport. He's got Studios 301, and he had all the old equipment, and he did it for me. They did an amazing job of, restoring it to digital. And I sent it to San Francisco, to John Eden, to master it and resequence it. And I think it's an important recording because, as you say, it's a bit of history there. And it's when the Bombers were just about to get the American deal, just before we went into the studio, road testing all those new songs. Well,
we kicked this show off with Crime Investigator, one of my favourite Bombers tunes from back in the day. Still sounds, remarkably fresh, and also contains some of Tyrone's best saxophone work. Do you recall how Crime Investigator came to fruition? Yeah,
that was an idea from Tyrone, actually. I mean, it was a strange one, and but we worked in it like you would with a Quo thing. We kind of sat there and gradually arranged it as the song was written, but the arrangement wasn't, and we gradually turned it into what it became. So that, it's just one of those band things that we kind of gelled together with on the arrangement. And it turned out, I was a bit sceptical about that one at first, but it kind of turned out I really like it now.
Well, before we shine the spotlight on the new live album, I do just wish to focus the conversation on the time period of mid-1988, which is when you and John Brewster exited the Party Boys. Alan, had things just ran their course with that band, and I'm assuming you wanted to do more original material?
The Party Boys? It's sort of a very successful band, actually. I mean, we had some really successful recordings there. He's Gonna Step on You was #1, and it was platinum, and we had lots of things. It was a great live band. It was really, the camaraderie was great, but Brewster and myself were sort of doing most of the studio work, and when it came to making a new album, after having that platinum album, gold album we had, the record company dropped us. The New Age, I don't know why, it was a great band. They came to see us play and everything, but it kind of lost its kind of role in a way. But the band was still really a good band, and it kind of played its course, really. We didn't really have the support of the record company, and that's what kind of made it really in Australia. You can't really go overseas. We tried to go overseas with it, actually, because He's Gonna Step On You was released in the UK, and Paul Christie and myself went over there to, promote it. We got, what's the word, high rotation airplay over there, and it was all, going to be a number one again in the UK, but it did nothing. I mean, I heard it everywhere I went. I heard He's Gonna Step On You being played, but it did nothing. But funny enough, 6 months later, another band did a kind of progressive version of it. It went to the top of the charts for another band. So we may have set the inspiration for that. I don't know, but our version, for some reason, never made. I know the record company at the time, CBS, was jumping for joy when they got high rotation. But that's the way the music business goes. No one, you didn't get there.
Well, as you just mentioned, the Party Boys did taste chart success here. 2 hit singles, a platinum album. There were some AC/DC supports, a lot of touring. From an outsider's perspective, personally and professionally, collaborating with guys like John Brewster and Kevin Borich really seemed to rejuvenate you, just what you needed at that stage in your career. Would that be a correct assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, I've known Kevin Borich for years. We've actually played, on the same stage together with Quo. So I knew him from back then. And he's got that unique style, just like Steve Crofts in the Bombers had, this sort of Jimi Hendrix-y kind of, but unique sort of style. I mean, you couldn't really tell those guys what to play. They had to get their parts from their head. And Borich was very much like that, as was Steve Crofts, the late Steve Crofts, I should say. But John Bruce and I had an immediate connection. As soon as we got together, I mean, I was ousted from Quo at the time, and he was ousted from the Angels at the time. So we both had that kind of commonality. But when we played, he just played a bit of rhythm and I played the bass, and as soon as we played, we kind of looked at one another and smiled, because we know we had that kind of little spark thing that happens. And from there on, it was an amazing partnership. We could have written and played forever. John and I was perfectly matched. He could do the things that Rick Parfitt could do in Quo, and he's one of the few rhythm guitarists that, fantastic and great musician. And we just gelled together. It was fantastic. We used to argue a lot, but but we were great mates. We still are. Yeah.
Can I ask what the feeling was like for you to be playing pubs again here in Australia in the mid-'80s after playing arenas and large venues for so long?
It was so frightening.
Really?
It was really frightening, because when you're doing arenas, 20,000 and all that kind of stuff, big stuff. You've got all your production, everything's known. They know when you want your water, times you want your towels and your plectrums and all things like that, and your spare guitars. You've got all the extra crew working for you. Well, when you're back to the clubs and pubs and things, although they're large, you don't have all that luxury. And when I did the first gig with the Hardy Boys, my first time I ever played with them, that was Ferntree Gully, Melbourne. I was frightened out of my life. It was like, where's the plectrum? What do I do with this? It's got,
Wow.
But we went down amazing. It was as soon as we started playing it, the vibe was amazing from that very first gig, and from there on we went, all the way.
Okay, let's look over the just released live Bombers album, if we may. 9 tracks recorded at Sydney's Crow's Nest Hotel back in May of 1989. As I mentioned earlier, my brother and I saw the band all over Sydney from the time of inception, with many shows that stand out for me, including an outdoor gig at Manly Beach, Coogee Bay Hotel with Cheap Trick, Bruce Stadium supporting Alice Cooper. There was an in-store at HMV Parramatta, to name a few. But for mine, mate, nothing compares to those shows at Crow's Nest Hotel when the band were cutting its teeth. I mean, there was an energy and electricity from those performances that was pretty special. I gather you've got fond memories of the Feathers days, Alan?
Absolutely, yeah. For the Feathers thing, it was a residence. So every Tuesday, I think we played there, and we kind of got a feel for the stage. That's why we recorded it there. And the audience was, vibey. So it was fantastic, and the band really had the hunger. I wanted to prove myself outside Quo, of course, and John wanted to prove himself outside the Angels. And, of course, we got John Coghlan in from Quo, and it's a really great band. It really had the energy. And, of course, we did prove ourselves. We kind of got those number ones and outsold most of the stuff that they've sold in Europe. So it was really an energy, camaraderie type feel band. It's one of the best ones. It was just good. It was like the Party Boys, but it was a bit more serious than the Party Boys. I suppose those two. I mean, I'm really proud I was in both of those bands, but they have slightly different feels, but very similar in the approach. Both kind of, energy driven.
Well, there's a few of the tracks I would just like to quickly highlight. The heavied up take of the Angels' City Out of Control, which kicks off this live album, is superb. Great lead guitar work via Steve Crofts and that beat-up Fender Strat of his. Steve definitely did bring his own brand of guitar playing and stage presence to the band, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he sort of him and Tyrone really, in a way, created the sound. I know it's all of us together. I mean, John and I have got, John Coghlan from Quo and myself, we've got a thing together, and John Brewster and I had a thing together, so we kind of had a nice rhythm bed there that had the chemistry, but really the sound came from Tyrone's voice and Steve Crofts' guitar, because they're two unique things that blended in. And of course Tyrone, is one of the fantastic vocalists, and Steve Crofts so unique with his guitar playing that, somehow we got a chemistry happening, and it worked.
And I guess listeners from outside of Australia may not be aware that this live album is dedicated to Steve Crofts, who sadly passed away 3 years ago. I had remember reading that Steve attended the Conservatorium of Music in Sydney studying classical music, which is where he befriended drummer Peter Heckenberg, who enters the band sometime later. Alan, I believe that Steve only had a couple of weeks to learn the songs from tape, and in fact the first time he'd played with the band was at a live gig. No rehearsals, he just slotted straight in. Pretty remarkable. Yes,
that's right. We gave him a tape of what we were doing, and he just put his own thing into it. And you probably noticed that the solo on some of the solos are different to the stuff we recorded. Like Is This the Way to Say Goodbye? Solo on that is different to the one we recorded. Because the one we recorded was a bit more kind of hands-on, so we changed it. But, he's amazing. He could do anything with that guitar.
You just mentioned Is This the Way to Say Goodbye? And, there is some strong original material on that Party Boys record, which you took into the Bombers, including that track. Swanee's, he's sure as hell sung it great, but Tyrone stamps his powerful range all over this track, doesn't he? He took it up another notch, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, we kind of were a little bit... We weren't sure. Swanee had a lot to do with the original melody on that, the Rising Star bit. You talking about Rising Star?
Is This the Way to Say Goodbye?
Oh, Is This the Way to Say Goodbye? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that was the thing that Brewster and I kind of did, and Swanee kind of put his take on it. He made the melody better. But Tyrone really took to that track, and it's quite a heavy kind of love song, really, isn't it?
It is.
And Tyrone really got the passion for that. And, of course, the one we did with the Party Boys, that was really what Brewster and I did. It was really more demo-like. It was more of an updated demo. It was. We did the demo, and then we gradually upgraded from that demo. Like using some of the same things, but with the Bombers one, it was kind of all fresh, played. With that energy that it's got.
Let's talk about Tyrone for a moment. I believe you and John first came across him when his outfit Boys Down Under did a Party Boys support. What were your first impressions when you heard that massive voice of his?
Well, we were just blown away. I was also blown away with the guitarist as well, Angelo Sorter at the time. And we just thought that was, we couldn't believe it. And we kind of conspired in a way to kind of get him. And of course, it worked, and the rest is history. But Angelo Sorter was in the band at first, but it kind of didn't have the right vibe. He was a great guitarist, though. I don't know if you saw him with Angelo Sorter.
I did.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous guitarist. John Brewster and myself had, grins all over our face when we heard him play on the tracks. And it was a bit sad that we had to let him go, but he didn't really fit with the kind of vibe the band had.
Chemistry, maybe?
Well, yeah, a bit, I suppose so, chemistry, yeah. It was a bit kind of, but he was, he's fantastic, but it was just, the band had a certain, it's like, you can't replace Kevin Borich, for instance, with Angelo Salter, but in looks, in feel, both great guitarists, but Angelo just didn't fit, really.
Tyrone put out a great album about 3 years back now called Child in the Man, which includes a great take of the Bombers' tune World's on Fire, which I encourage listeners to search out as it's pretty darn good. Mate, Small Talk, as many fans will know, is another Angels track included here on the album. Were you tempted to include either of the Quo songs, which the band were performing at the set in the time, Roll Over, Lay Down or Down Down, on this live recording?
No, not really. We kind of steer clear from that, but a couple of the Angels things I was tempted to do because they weren't as well known as the Quo stuff. Silly Out of Control, I think, is a fantastic song, and we gradually made that into our own, if you like. We kind of loved it. But no, we didn't really think the Quo stuff was appropriate. But we did do it on stage. We used to play a lot of the Quo stuff on stage, and Angel stuff and Brewster too at one stage. When we when the Bombers folded, so to speak. It didn't really fold, but it ended.
Mate, I wish to pull up a couple of past quotes, if I can, which I found relevant to the time period we are discussing. One from John Brewster, who in late 1988 said, "I'm just so excited about this band. It reaffirms not only my love for this kind of music, but the whole rock attitude." And one of yours where you stated, "Our music is not for wimps, but it is not heavy metal. The songs are well structured and melodic." I think those two quotes in particular sum up so much about what the Bombers meant to you both and what the band were about.
Yeah, I suppose we try to explain it, but it was an attitude thing, really. That was what Quo was all about in the early days, was an attitude. People say it's all about the music. Well, guess what? It's not all about the music. You can't hear the music if it's on a bit of paper, and if it's that good, the music, then just make a demo. Why not release a demo? It's much more than that. It's to do with interpretation, attitude, and the way you play, and performance, of course, and all that has to gel together, and then it has to fit. It has to fit the picture. You can't have Barbra Streisand singing Down Down, can you? It's more than just the music. It's really, without the performer, you don't really have a music industry. If you haven't got a musician, you can't hear anything, can you? So it's got to be a partnership of musicians, a chemistry, and playing the composition. And they use their own kind of vibe. So it's more than just the music. It's the performance, really.
I agree. Look, can I talk a little about the track Rising Star? I actually dug out my old cassette copy of the Party Boys self-titled record to get me in the zone for this interview. It's such a big sounding album, and I encourage listeners to go back and re-listen to it. One track in particular, Rising Star, is another which found its way into the Bombers set. Thematically, it kind of reminds me of, say, Foreigner's Jukebox Hero or Bad Company's Shooting Star. Can you recall Can you recall how Rising Star was penned?
Yeah, well, I was talking about that earlier when we talked about Is This the Way to Say Goodbye? So I mistook that. But we had it together. We got the track together, the backing track, and we was working on the melody. And Swanee came in with this, he adjusted the melody, and it came out as Rising Star. But I was never, Brewster and I in particular, was never really keen on the what it was trying to say. It was a little bit kind of, we thought it was a bit corny at the time. I don't think it's that now, by the way. It's a bit like Rick when he wrote Again and Again. It had that kind of once upon a time. I thought, rock and roll style, all that kind of stuff. Well, the Rising Star was a bit like that, so I felt, Brewster and I felt a little bit kind of, But Tyrone loved it. He loved the vibe of it, but we altered the melody, altered the actual song later and turned it into Don't Come Easy. I don't know if you...
That's right, you did. I did.
Yeah, so we rewrote the whole thing because of that. But when I listen to it now, I think they're both okay on their, in their own right.
They are. So. They are. Actually, Alan, whilst I think of it, I do wish to make mention of another Party Boys song called "It Could Have Been You," which you co-wrote with Dave Skinner. I personally think it contains one of your strongest ever lead vocals. Was "It Could Have Been You" ever considered amongst the Bombers material?
No, not really, because Dave Skinner really is the main production on that, for the backing track. So there was not much of the band on that, so it was mainly my vocal. But it was done for the Colin McCullough film, an Indecent Obsession, that film. And Swanee sang it on the film. And we considered it for the Party Boys. And Dave Skinner came in and put my vocal on it for us, and that's it, But I felt my vocal, I said to Swanee was very upset that my vocal went on it. He said, "What did you put your vocal on it for?" I said, "Because I sang it better than you."
I love your vocals on it. I've always loved those. It's a great vocal performance, mate.
Well, I actually felt the song. It was pretty high, but I did feel it because we wrote it, and being able to do it with Dave Skinner producing, the vocal on it as well, he kind of guided me through it, and I did feel it though. So, it's probably why it came out okay.
Looking back, the Bombers had all the ingredients for success. You toured hard across all parts of Australia, supports with Alice Cooper and Skid Row. There was a support slot on a 1989 visit from Sabbath, which never happened, along with a big 1991 American tour with Alice Cooper that also fell through. Any number of the band's songs could have been a hit, from Crime Investigator or All Worlds on Fire, both really melodic tunes, or even Flash in Japan. I remember there was a Japanese film crew at Gladesville one night shooting a video for that song with what I assume was an intended push into Japan. Yet despite all the effort, the band didn't have the radio success or get that large exposure that you deserve. That must have been a frustration for you.
Yeah, that's the music industry, it's the way it goes. I mean, the Bombers got the biggest advance any Australian band's ever got from America, and they got the American deal with A&M. Fantastic. Even A&M spent lots of money out making 3 promotional videos, which was just for internal use, so all their company executives could see what we were about, and we're about to fly. But lo and behold, A&M got bought out by Phonogram. So we were stuck without a record company, except Phonogram now owned us, Australian Phonogram, not American A&M. Now was back in Australia now, where with the A&M deal was kind of international. But all of a sudden now was with Phonogram, and what can we do with the album? I mean, we didn't have an international record company. They could release it internationally, I'm sure, from here, but we were stuck here now. We didn't have the backing, and I'd already been to Phonogram with the deal, and they had 13 other artists that they had to try and break. So I thought, never in a million years will we ever, do it from Phonogram, although Phonogram's a massive company, but not so much in Australia for us. And so we were left in the lurch, really, with the album all paid, everything done, and we had nowhere to go. So the band really just had to dissolve. Was it
Phonogram or Polygram?
Phonogram was so... I don't know, Polygram, was it called Polygram then?
I think it was Polygram back then. And yeah. So basically they were not experienced in handling a hard rock band.
Oh, yeah, they're a great company. No problem there. I would have assigned to them, but they said, I mean, the CEO at the time, Michael Smelly, told me straight, he said, Alan, we've got about 3 international acts to try and break here in Australia. We've got 10 other ones. And, from experience, only the most they can hope for is 10% to break. So, only, 1 or 2 of those acts are going to break. And so they couldn't really do anything for us. I mean, they had all these, it's impossible. I mean, they couldn't really work on us at the particular time when we needed it, when it was releasing the record. So I was left in the lurch, and that's the way it goes sometimes, unfortunately. If you haven't got the resources to back it up, but the Bombers didn't have it to back it up. With Quo, we have, you got your promoters, your agents, your managers, your record companies, your publishers, everybody behind you to kind of find another way. But when you're on your own, out of all that kind of world. You've got your own little setup. It's like starting up an empire overnight. You just can't do it.
Mate, I know that, and we are going to wind up soon, I know that Ty Coates is still out there performing live on the Central Coast, as is John with the Angels. What are the chances of the band reforming for a one-off show, or is the band's legacy best left where it is?
It's kind of left where it is at the moment, because John's doing really well with the Angels, doing some great stuff. Live, he's in things like the Opera House and things like that, and they're a really good band. They've got the Screaming Jets singer Dave Gleason fronting it, and he's a great singer, so he's having a good time. They've never been happier, he tells me. And Tyrone is flying quite a lot and he goes with his wife. So and Steve, as you know, passed away. Heck had a terrible car accident in the States, which has kind of hurt him quite a bit, big time. He nearly died, and here am I reviving some of the stuff, trying to keep it alive. But having said that, I wouldn't say never, because it could never be the same because we haven't got Steve Crofts. But if that piece could be substituted in a respectable way, then I wouldn't say never, because I know Tyrone, John Coghlan or Peter Heckenberg and John Brewster all have the vibe for it, and it's just the logistics of getting something like that together, to actually do. Because we'd have to break up a few other things first.
Well, it's good to hear. Never say never. But before I forget, I do wish to remind listeners that way back on show number 4, we interviewed John Brewster, and then on episode 5, we had Tyrone Coates on the podcast. If you wish to learn more about the Bombers, I encourage you to go back and revisit those interviews, as you will learn a lot about this wonderful rock and roll outfit. Mate, we'd better wind things up, but before you go, every guest on our show gets to choose a song by an Australian band, something significant to them. What would you like to choose and why?
Oh, you've got me on the hook now. You know what? The one that just came into my head at the moment, and I don't usually go for this type of thing normally, but I really like Chrissy Amphlett, that old Pleasure and Pain song.
Great.
It just came to my head all of a sudden. I could say many more. I mean, I love so many Australian artists because they've got so much passion. They really go for it. But I reckon Chrissy Amphlett was one of the best rock and roll chick singers, in the world. It's fantastic.
Wonderful choice.
And I just fancied that song all of a sudden, Pleasure and Pain.
Alan, thank you once again for your time. The album, Alan Lancaster's Bombers Live, is available now from Barrel and Squidger Records. Fans can get a copy on CD, vinyl, and a very smart-looking picture disc as well by simply visiting musicglue.com/Squidger for all the ordering details. Mate, it's been wonderful to look over this particular chapter of your career. It's a time period which is near and dear to my rock and roll heart. And
I feel very honoured, Dennis.
To a lot of us out there, and I thank you once again for sharing your memories with us.
Thanks, Dennis. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Keep it up. It's fantastic.
Okay. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.